So here it is, month number 4. We've learned a lot living off the grid, completely dependent on a solar generator produced by Bluetti. Now we're going to do a quick review today, and hopefully that'll be helpful because, you know, out of the box it's one thing, but after living on it for 4 months, that's a real review. So for those of you considering a solar generator, we've been living off a solar generator, boondocking, with 7 people in an RV for 4 months now. We started on July 29th when it was hot, when it was very sunny, and now it's Thanksgiving. So it's the end of November, it's cold, and we don't have a whole lot of sunlight. A lot of cloudy days, and we're still pulling enough power to run this unit. So let's talk about a few particulars. This is the Bluetti, and I chose that against some other models, the Titan, and I can't even remember the other ones right now, but again, this is the one that we stuck with, and we really like it. I've got 6 solar panels, 100 watt solar panels, so I've got 600 watts of solar panel coming into here, and this monitors everything for me here on the screen. And some of you may have seen our other videos, and we pointed some of this stuff out, but just a quick overview. This is the percent of battery right now, 54%. Up in the upper left is power coming in. That is from the solar panels. Right now we're pulling about 208 watts, and it's a cloudy day. Over on the right, upper top here, this is AC power in from a generator if you choose to use that. Down here on the bottom left is DC going out, and this is AC going out. Now you can see on the front panel we have a lot of different plugs. This particular plug right here actually goes through the camper wall and inside, and I'll explain that in a second. But we've got that plug going right into the bedroom, the master bedroom. This is the plug, the AC plug from the camper. And then over here we have, as you see, it says DC output. What I did, this mess of wires over here, I took the DC from the camper, I actually bypassed their converter, and I put DC directly into my Bluetti here through a junction up there. Now, what we found after 4 months of living here is there is a mode on here that's called eco mode. And what I found out it does is when you're on AC power and you're only using standby stuff, then what it does is it actually shuts down the AC power, which shuts down the inverter. Now, I thought the standby wasn't that much, 5 watts here, 6 watts there. But the thing is, in order to run AC power, you also have to run the inverter inside of that. And so when it actually shuts down AC power, then it shuts down the inverter too, which is also drawing power. So you can save up to 30%, it says up to 30%, and it actually does. Because at night when I turned off that AC power, I would wake up and I would burn through very little battery power at night. The only thing that was on standby power was the thermostat, the heater, and the refrigerator, and that's it. So it saves a tremendous amount if you can shut that inverter off. And that's why this wire here comes out of the DC and goes into my bedroom, because at night, if I want to charge cell phones or something, I can do that with DC power instead of AC power. That makes a big difference. Just a safety precaution, make sure that your carbon monoxide detector and your smoke detector are on battery power, because when you turn off the AC, if they're plugged in, they're not going to work. So this is our solar array, and when we first came down here, we had 6 panels all hooked up, and I thought, you know, the limit of the Bluetti is actually 150 volts, and if I string 7 in a row, I'm only at 148 volts. Well, nominally, I'm at 148 volts. Interestingly enough, in the summertime, it was no problem, but as fall approached and the sun angle lowered down, for some reason, in the afternoon about 3 o'clock, we were getting overvoltage faults on the Bluetti. Now, it's a nice system because it protects itself. It doesn't allow it to take in more than 150 volts. But I actually tested the system, and every afternoon between 1 and 3, it was producing 150 volts, which basically tripped the fault and shut down my solar panels. So unfortunately, I had to disconnect solar panel number 7. I'm going to go ahead and store that away, and we're going to run off the 6 panels, the 600 volt system for now. And again, it's keeping up, so that's good enough for us. So we went from the hot environment of summer into the cold of fall, and now a little bit colder in the winter. And we learned a few things. In the heat of summer with a lot of sunlight, we actually plugged in the refrigerator a lot because we had excess power. Well, now when it got cold, we noticed on a really cold night, we woke up, we had 1% battery, and we figured out what's up with that. Well, we keep this basement open because we allow the cats to jump under here during the night and cuddle up in a blanket and stay warm. Well, we also need to keep this guy warm. Batteries are designed to operate in a particular temperature range. If you operate outside that temperature range, you don't get the performance that you desire or that it's qualified for. You can also damage the battery. One thing is, they don't like cold. They don't perform as well down there. And so the operating range of the Bluetti is down to 32 degrees. So we need to keep this thing above 32 degrees. So we began to shut up the doors to keep it a little bit warmer. But then the thing was, why are we using so much power at night when we're on a propane heater? Well, a propane heater has a blower, and it's a pretty big blower. In fact, I found out that blower uses about 75 watts of power. That's a lot of power through the night, especially if it kicks on several times. Because during the summer, I made my own blower fans for the windows, and they were using about 8 watts of power. Well, that's a big difference. So now we know when it's cold, you're taking in less power from the sun, and as far as that blower fan, you're using a lot more. And oh, by the way, we didn't just kick the cats out. We gave them a different place, a nice, warm, bedded area in our hay storage, so the cats are okay. We're still gonna shut this up at night. If you go back and reference our solar powered RV setup, which was recorded in July of 2021, our plan was to plug in the refrigerator when it was sunny out and unplug it and let it run on propane when it was not sunny or it was nighttime. And that's worked really well. As you can see right now, this is orange, which means it's running on propane. So let's run outside and see how we switch it to AC power. So we're outside at the access panel of the back side of the refrigerator. And if you pop this off, you have a plug right here. This plug plugs into this outlet right here, and that puts the refrigerator on AC power. If the camper loses AC power or you unplug it, it automatically goes to propane, and it will light up the burner over here and run off of propane. So what we do, just so we don't forget, when I plug that in, I leave the panel off. And that way in the afternoon, we don't forget to take the plug back out so it goes back to propane, because if we forget, it'll drain our battery overnight. So a little bit about the protection system on the Bluetti. It's very well designed. It will not allow you to break it, well, in most cases. So some of the faults that we've tripped are the overvoltage from the solar panels. We also had a DC overvoltage at one time. And I think what happened there was the plug came off and something got in there. I was able to reset it and it worked fine. There is a temperature limit, and we haven't tripped that yet, which is good. And there's also an AC output overvoltage, and that was probably a current limit is what it was. You can run power tools on the Bluetti, but you got to be really careful because the startup power on these electric motors is sometimes twice or 3 times the actually running wattage. And so I could use this, and I could use the skill saw and other power tools intermittently. But when we started building this barn, we were doing a lot of heavy usage with the power tools. And so we have the Generac generator there that we now plug all our power tools into that in order just not to overload that Bluetti. Although for small projects, again, I can plug it in really quick. So as we mentioned before, you can charge the Bluetti with a standard generator. And luckily, over the last 4 months, we've only had to do that, a couple of times, really. And most of those times were because we made a mistake. We left something on, we left the refrigerator plugged in, it was a cloudy day, and we decided to curl our hair or blow dry our hair. Obviously, that wasn't me. But anyway, this is nice. Even now that there's very little sunlight and there's a lot of cloudy days, I may have to use this once a week, and it's really not because the Bluetti's dead, it's because it's very low. I like to keep it above 15 or so percent, and they say that at least once a month or once a week you need to bring it up to 100%. I let it go up to 100% at least twice a week. But really, if I get 3 hours of nice bright sunshine, even in the end of November, it'll pop up to 100% in no time at all. Now I want to point something out for those of you who are considering this system. The AC output right here, as you can see, is showing 0. Well, I've got AC power plugged in. I've got a clock radio on and running inside. The microwave standby is on, and there's several things AC that are running inside, or at least on standby power. But that says 0. I'm guessing the reason is because the Bluetti does not actually directly measure wattage. It probably measures amps. And what I've noticed is below about 25 watts, I really don't see anything on here. What I'm guessing is that the Bluetti is reading maybe 0.1 to 0.2 amps, which on the 12 volt side is going to take me down about 2 to 3 watts. But on the AC side, that's going to be about 20 to 25 watts. And so I will see all the way down to 4 watts on the DC side, but I will not see that on the AC side. And that's why it triggered me early on to say, wait a minute, maybe I'm drawing more AC power than I realize. And sure enough, I was. Well, just like when you have a garden, you eat seasonally. You eat what's out there to harvest. Well, you have to use power seasonally too. You use power when you have it, and that's when the sun is out. We didn't realize when we were living in a regular on-grid home how much stuff we recharged every day using an AC outlet. We have cell phones that need to be charged. This is a power bank that comes in handy when you can't charge things. We have a hotspot issued by the school because we live in the boonies and we have no internet. So we have the hotspot. We have to keep it charged. The kids come home every day with Chromebooks and they plug those things in. And when you plug 4 Chromebooks in, you're using like 250 watts worth of power. So we always tell the kids, as soon as they get home, the sun's still out, plug in your Chromebook. Use that power while it's there. But we just have a mess of things that need to be charged. The other thing is, if the kids want to watch a movie, well, better be sunny out that day. In fact, the kids will come to me and they'll say, Dad, it was sunny today. Can we watch a movie tonight? Well, yeah, we have enough power. Let's turn the TV on and let's have a little fun. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope that was helpful for you and educational. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have subscribed, leave a comment. We love to read them. We'll see you next week.